Okay, start. Om Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. So we were discussing the use and abuse of religion. In the previous class, we talked about positive religion. What is the true purpose of religion based on the individual treatment? And in this class, we'll talk about no points for guessing negative religion. What is perhaps the misuse of religion? But before we start that, I'll take up any questions if there are.
उत्सव जी बहुत 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 शुक्रिया। आप अपना समय निकाल के हमारे को इतना ज्ञान देते हैं। आज सुबह जब मैंने कबीर के भजन सुने, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा। कबीर ने तो बहुत कुछ हमारे को कुंजियां दे दी हैं परमात्मा तक पहुंचने के लिए। शॉर्टकट्स हैं, इतने शब्दों, कुछ शब्दों में बहुत कुछ समझा दिया उन्होंने। उन्होंने खुद भी बोला है कि साधो शब्द साधना कीजिए। देखिए, भगवान कृष्ण ने भी गीता में इन शब्दों का बहुत उपयोग किया है। एक योग, एक संयोग और एक वियोग, और तीनों में बहुत कुछ हमारे को बता दिया है। आज संयोग है कि हम आपसे मिल रहे हैं, सब लोगों से मिल रहे हैं, ये हमारा संयोग है। और अगर वियोग हो जाए तो हमारे को दुख होगा कि भाई जब आप नहीं आते तो वियोग की अनुभूति होती है कि भाई वियोग, तो क्योंकि हम सुनना चाहते हैं। तो मेरा कहने का मतलब यही है कि थोड़े थोड़े ज्ञान से भी, जब हमको जो जो भी आप समझा रहे हैं, इतना डिफिकल्ट वेदांत तो है ही, बहुत डिफिकल्ट सब्जेक्ट, बहुत बिरले लोग ही समझते हैं इसको। तो जब हमारे को साक्षात्कार हो जाएगा, हमको ज्ञान प्राप्त हो जाएगा, व्हेन वी बिकम एनेबल्ड, आई थिंक दैट इज व्हाट इज रिक्वायर्ड। तो मेरी आपसे यही प्रार्थना है कि आप जितना हो सके ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हमारे को समय दीजिए। हमारे लिए भी आप बहुत बहुत एक उपयोगी, एक बहुत संयोग तो है ही, एक बहुत ही हमारे लिए, हमारी कृपा, हमारे ऊपर कृपा होगी आपकी अगर आप ज़्यादा समय देंगे। मैं शायद आपको बोर कर रहा हूँ, माफ़ी चाहता हूँ। मेरा अपना उद्गार है, मैंने बोला है।
ओम जी, आपको भी मालूम है, मुझे भी मालूम है कि मेरे समय ज़्यादा समय देने से ज़्यादा है आप अपने आप को समय दें। आप अपने आप को समय देते हैं, ये सबके लिए एक शायद एक चेतावनी है कि गुरु के गुरु से ज़्यादा या टीचर से ज़्यादा अगर कोई खुद को ज़्यादा समय दे, दैट इज़ द नीड ऑफ द आवर, राइट। यू विल एग्री विद मी, देयर इज़ नो शॉर्टेज ऑफ नॉलेज। और अब तो इस यूट्यूब के ज़माने में कुछ भी आपको सीखना हो, आप मतलब दो बटन दबा करके उसके बारे में सीख सकते हैं, उसके बारे में चर्चा कर सकते हैं। बट गहराई तक जाना और किसी चीज़ को एकदम मूल से समझना, उसमें it requires self effort. That's what I'm saying, right? Okay. Yeah, Prachi, you have a question.
Yeah, so from the reading in the last class, there's a sentence here. As you progress in your self-development, pitch up higher ideals, self-realization being the ultimate. So, in this journey towards self-development, if realization is the ultimate ideal, like what would be some of the preceding ideals? Like, if we are constantly pitching up higher ideals, like, from the stage when you start this development journey, what should be your ideal then, or what could be some ideals then? And would it be material ideals or, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, what, like, what's the ladder? Is it like,
Yeah, good question. So, see, um, first and foremost, this concept of self-realization is very Greek to most of us. Even if we perhaps understand it intellectually or in discussion like this, even to someone who has perhaps spent many years studying the subject, um, that goal itself may seem a little far-fetched, right? In terms of are they truly ready for it, right? But the beauty of Vedanta is that it meets the seeker where they are, right? And the idea is spirituality is not simply a final step. Spirituality is not simply restricted to enlightenment. Spirituality is about taking yourself from where you are currently to that stage. That entire journey is spirituality, right? From wherever you are, you may be even quite a um, negative person. You may have not lot of as such negative qualities, right? The beauty of the Bhagavad Gita, it says that there is nobody there's no sense of eternal damnation, right? No matter what you've done, no matter what sins you have committed, no matter what mistakes you have made, the raft of knowledge can carry you to the shores of development and ultimately enlightenment. So point is that spirituality is about a work in progress. It's about taking you from where you are one step higher. It's like climbing a ladder. It's not sort of an insurmountable pole vault. It's like taking some steps up, right? So these steps are in the form of ideals, goals, which are relatable to you. See, certain goals are relatable to a child, right? You first give the idea of money to a child. What is the immediate goal? Start a piggy bank, right? Then they become young people, they start an SIP. Then they become slightly older, maybe they start more comprehensive, family planning or whatever. So even in the sense of money, the goal keeps getting refined, right? So is it with Karma Yoga, right? First and foremost, so the question you are asking is specifically related to Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is the path of pitching an ideal, the path of action dedicated to the path of action which involves dedicating yourself to an ideal beyond your self-centered interest. First of all, please understand the definition of what is ideal, right? The word ideal is very important. Most people don't have even a goal, let alone an ideal, right? An ideal is a unselfish goal. That's the definition of an ideal. Most people don't even have a selfish goal. We're not goal oriented. We want, oh, थोड़ी सी लिफ्ट करा दे, थोड़ा सा लक हो जाए, कुछ निकल जाए. Yesterday we had some family over and one of our cousins just quipped, अरे आजकल तो बेस्ट चीज़ है ऑनलाइन स्टॉक मार्केट करना. All these apps have opened up, and now पहले इतना मुश्किल. I think if you're doing it, there's no problem. I'm also doing it. There's no harm in it. I'm talking about the mentality. I'm talking about to what extent you are immersed in it. Because if you don't control it, it becomes an obsession, right? If you are totally consumed by the thought कि you know, a little bit of luck and my life will be made. Huh? Let me invest in those five multi-baggers. So that's not being goal oriented, that's being result oriented. There's a big difference. बिग डिफरेंस बीइंग गोल ओरिएंटेड बीइंग रिजल्ट ओरिएंटेड किसी भी तरीके से मतलब फटाफट वो मिल जाए, दैट्स बीइंग रिजल्ट ओरिएंटेड एज अपोज टू बीइंग गोल ओरिएंटेड. First, a goal first of all is a result, no doubt, which you plan, program, and uh, put up your course of action to achieve. Right? It's a comprehensive program, and only when you have a goal do you have a direction in life. Without a goal, one morning you'll want something, the other morning you'll want something else. So most of us lack a goal. An ideal is an unselfish goal. A goal that is unselfish. A goal that is not limited to me, my. A goal that pushes the boundaries of identification. A goal that, so it could be in the form of some form of social service. It could be in the form of see, it's not the quantum of what you do, it's about the consciousness with which you do it, right? So becoming more aware in one's transactions in life. So self-realization may seem too far-fetched, but some circle of identification, becoming more conscious in my daily activities, with what empathy can I deal with those around me. What percentage of my income do I want to contribute to charity? There's no fixed amount, there's no right or wrong amount, but as per your capacity and inspiration. So these are all limited ideals, right? These are all limited ideals, but important ideals, more relatable ideals in your journey towards enlightenment, right? Um, Slowly, as you progress on your study, the concept of a life as detachment um, um, settles in, that concept of enlightenment, that concept of self-realization becomes more and more clear. As I said, it begins with a suspicion, grows into an understanding, it turns into a conviction. Right now, you perhaps have a suspicion. So you're saying, okay, keep the suspicion at the back of your mind, keep studying, keep attending classes, but at least pitch up something unselfish. At your workplace, the attitude with which you do your business, that's an ideal. First of all, doing a business is a goal. Developing an unselfish attitude in business is an ideal. That true, honest desire to help your employees and help your customers. It's an ideal. It's an underrated ideal. It's an underrated ideal. See, 20 years ago, we used to all make fun of China. 10 years ago, also. Made in China, made in China, made in China. Today, made in China is one of the best in the world. The kind of quality of products coming from China. And now, if it's made in India, unfortunately, we still have a long way to go. There are a lot of people doing good work, but how do they do it? A certain ideal. It could be service to the nation, service to building the economy. It's an ideal, as opposed to every individual thinking of their own immediate profit. It's a goal. It's an ideal. So these are all limited ideals, which are more relatable, more immediate, to your immediate life. And as you grow, it subtilizes. It becomes subtler and subtler. You know, then you develop more abstract ideals. The idea of enlightenment enlightenment becomes more and more relatable. But all of this falls into the purview of what is called karma yoga. And what is the job of karma yoga? To reduce the bulk of your desires. A higher ideal replaces a ton of desires, a ton of other unnecessary, pointless desires, and gives you more joy. That's the important part. You may think, oh, you're asking me to forego everything I enjoy in life. No, an ideal is something which brings immense joy to your life. It brings in a sense of purpose. Those of us who lack purpose are severely unfulfilled despite having all the riches. It is purpose which makes us wake up each morning and feel a sense of belonging. It keeps us driven. In the absence of a purpose, you can be the richest, you can be the most fortunate, but you'll feel empty. So an ideal is a purpose.
Is renunciation one of those final, more abstract ideals?
Absolutely. Renunciation is an abstract ideal where you are measuring your affectation to things and circumstances around you, where you're watching, where you're measuring your capacity to be a witness to to life around you. It's an abstract ideal. Again, it requires planning. It requires understanding the prerequisites to it. It requires sustained effort, like any goal. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Thank you.
If I were you, I would ask, how is renunciation unselfish? Because you said ideal is unselfish.
Okay.
How is renunciation? How is renunciation unselfish? Anybody? How is renunciation an ideal?
I mean, it helps you do what you're doing in a more unselfish way, right? Like, you're not concerned with what the fruit is to you, and it improves the quality of your effort as well towards that.
Yeah, fair. On a deeper level, though, unselfishness means foregoing of ego. It's not the quantum of what you are doing, but uh, the intensity of ego associated with it. True renunciation is in fact the foregoing of me, my, I. So in that sense, it is beyond unselfish. It is selfless. It is
There
beyond.
was there was a slogan also in Doordarshan that
Anji.
सब जन हिताय और सब जन सुखाय. If we are glued to this ideal, तो खुशी तो प्राप्त अपने आप ही होगी. अब renunciation तो होना शुरू हो जाएगा ना, नहीं होगा? अगर हम लोगों का भी सोचेंगे.
देखिए, first and foremost, renunciation is an effect, and unselfishness is definitely a stepping stone to renunciation, right? पहले तो आप जब दूसरों का सोचोगे, फिर पहले आप में ये भाव आएगा, अरे वो मेरे बारे में नहीं सोचते. That's the beginning. That's the beginning. So the beginning of unselfishness is not renunciation, but perhaps yes, it culminates in renunciation when you in the words of Khalil Gibran, when you give, as in the yonder valley, the myrtle breathes its fragrance into the air. When you give like the flower far away in some empty space where no one is appreciating it. It's just giving. So yes, true unselfishness leads to that spirit of detachment and renunciation. एंड ये एक ज्ञान भक्ति सबका मिश्रण है जी. दैट्स व्हाट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड. सी व्हाइल यू आर pitching up an ideal based on your current worldview, based on your current understanding, as you gain deeper and deeper knowledge and mixed with the experience of your own life. um, See, the rare person is a Shankaracharya, but most of us need to go through, plow through lots of experience to get some insight and depth in understanding of life. So that experience also matters. So experienced unselfishness is leads to renunciation.
So I asked this question to one of my teacher that how to get unselfishness. So he gave hello. Am I audible?
Yes.
So he gave me 2 practical things to do. I found it still I have not been able to do it. Very simple thing. He said, include others in your prayers. The first thing. Include every day, include others in your prayers. And the second thing, at least start with at least 1 hour social service in 7 days. Just 1 hour. जब तक हम वो करेंगे नहीं ना, वो हैबिट ऑफ अनसेल्फिशनेस आना स्टार्ट नहीं होगा. आपने कितना भी ज्ञान ले ले, मैं 4 साल से ज्ञान ले रहा हूँ, मैं समझ गया हूँ, मैं कर्मयोग बहुत अच्छे से समझ गया हूँ. उत्सव जैसे बोल रहा था, मैं अपने आप अपने मन में बोल रहा था वो बात को. वो चैप्टर 3 मेरे को एकदम रट गया है, बट वो मैं क्रियान्वित नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ. वो तभी होगा जब अपनी स्टार्ट करेंगे. जैसे अपने स्टार्ट करते हैं ना, हम वॉक करेंगे या हम मूवी जाएंगे या हम डिनर पे जाएंगे, वैसे ही हम स्टार्ट करेंगे. 1 आवर हम सोशल सर्विस करेंगे, 2 आवर हम करेंगे सोशल सर्विस. नीड नॉट बी दैट यू हैव टू गो टू सम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड डू. We all understand what is social service. We know. Even if you teach your servant, like what Utsav does, teach your servant for 1 hour in English, Hindi also. That is also social service. So that will lead us to unselfishness. खाली बोलने से, बात करने से नहीं आ रहा है. I'm telling you with my personal experience.
Sorry, I missed you in the
So I was saying that the one of my teacher,
practical exercises.
yeah, so one of my teacher who taught us Kindle Life, I asked him this question कि सर unselfishness आप बोल रहे हैं, कैसे आएगा unselfishness? तो बोले बहुत सिंपल काम करना है. Number 1, when you pray, include others in your prayers. Start doing that. Include others in your prayers. And number 2, at least start with 1 hour social service in 7 days a week. खाली बोलने से कुछ नहीं होगा और रुपया देने से नहीं होगा. वो चैरिटी करके रुपया देने से नहीं होगा. You have to give your time at least 1 hour. When you start doing 1 hour, अपने आप 6 महीना बाद 2 hours हो जाएगा. जब होना होगा उसको होने देना. बट जैसे तुम नियम कोई भी चीज का करते हो, 1 hour social service. And I was saying that social service can be anything. Utsav teaches his servant Hindi, English. That is also a social service. So it need not be going to a big organization and do something blah blah blah. We all know what can be social service. Then ultimately वो धीरे धीरे that unselfishness will come into us. नहीं तो मैं यही बोला, मैं तो 4 साल से इतना ज्ञान ले रहा हूँ, लेकिन अभी भी मैं वो डिसिप्लिन नहीं ला पाया हूँ अपने अंदर कि मैं बीच में ये सोशल सर्विस करूंगा. I said मेरे को रट गया है 3rd चैप्टर गीता जी का. जो आप बोल रहे थे अभी, मैं अपने मन में दोहरा रहा था पूरा उस चीज को. मुझे इतना मेरा फेवरेट चैप्टर है वो 3rd चैप्टर. बट वो फेवरेट चैप्टर खाली होने से नहीं होगा. तो जब तक हम उसके ऊपर आगे नहीं बढ़ेंगे, तो वो हमको हेल्प करेगा. फिर वो बुकिश लैंग्वेज बन जाएगा. मैं बहुत इजीली कोई आता है, जैसे मेरे कजन्स कोई आते, यंग Navneet Bhaiya's daughter comes, so I give her Gyan of Karma Yoga. I start doing that. Then I realize that, am I doing it? So how will that much be effective on her? Since I am not doing it, it's not going to be effective on her. So we have to do just little things.
So start small and start with your immediate environment. ये आप सब ज्ञानी हो, आप सब ने गीता जी पढ़ी है, राइट? आपको भी मालूम है, द्रव्य यज्ञ, तपो यज्ञ, योग यज्ञ, राइट? द्रव्य यज्ञ मीन्स पैसे देना।
आप वापस से स्टार्ट करो एक बार गीता जी।
उतना तो दे दो, पैसे तो दे दो।
वो देते हैं सब लोग, सब
नहीं
पीपल आर डूइंग दैट।
I'm
गिविंग
just,
टाइम इज अ वेरी वेरी डिफिकल्ट।
so then what Yashoji is referring to is called तपो यज्ञ, जो आप तप के द्वारा यज्ञ करते हो, गिविंग योर टाइम, गिविंग योर ऑनेस्ट अटेंशन। देखिए, आई एम नॉट, सी यशोजी, you're absolutely right, and maybe I have to speak in that terms as well, but ये भी मैकेनिकल बन जाता है। जैसे लोग मैकेनिकली पैसा देते हैं, लोग मैकेनिकली तब भी करते हैं। अच्छा, मुझे 1 घंटा निकालना है यहाँ पे हफ्ते में, right? So you're absolutely right. It's a good place to start, but always keep at the back of your mind that things shouldn't become mechanical. It's about the intention is most important, and when the intention is there, it's not about 1 hour or 2 hours. It's about moment to moment, right? But you're absolutely right. You have to take out at least some. I mean, make some kind of a plan around it. Make some kind of a honest intent around, and take a small problem. Don't have to take a very big problem. Don't have to try to solve something very complicated. It's the intent that is important in कर्म योगा. आपने जैसे कहा, देखिए, अब बोलने का नज़रिया अलग है, बोलने का तरीका अलग है. Include others in your prayers. Increase your circle of identification. Be aware of others. There are two ways of saying the same thing. आप बोल रहे हो सबका कल्याण हो, जब आप भगवान के सामने खड़े होते हो तो इंस्टेड ऑफ सेइंग मेरा कल्याण हो, सबका कल्याण. In your prayers, think about others, maybe someone else who you may have come across, maybe facing a difficult situation in the past couple of days.
So how do we not let that become mechanical?
No, in the see, in the beginning it is kind of mechanical, but point is ना, हम सोचते हैं कि इतना कर दिया तो बस है. Like this is karma yoga. Karma yoga means 1 hour of social service a week. That's when it becomes mechanical. I'm doing karma yoga. I'm regularly doing karma yoga. Like people say, I'm regularly doing hatha yoga 3 times a week in the morning. I'm doing my, so when you reduce it to that once a week, when you reduce it to that once or maybe twice a week, I don't know, that's when it becomes mechanical. It's like something, a checkbox to tick, right? So it's a good place to start. It's a great place to start. But
Also, sir, what you have always said, which has always struck me, is I'm saying so much. We have to recognize that we have received so much. Only after we recognize that we have received so much, then only इच्छा आएगी देने की. नहीं तो हमेशा लगता है ना, मेरे को ये मिले, मेरे को ये मिले, मेरे को ये मिले. When we understand we have received so much, and then that act of gratitude will leave us that now I have got so much, I have to give it back. So, ये जैसे आना स्टार्ट हो जाएगा ना, तो पहले कम से कम ये एक्नॉलेजमेंट होना चाहिए. फर्स्ट टाइम मेरे को रियलाइज हुआ ये बात इस क्लासेस में ही, कह रहे we receive so much things from nature. We receive air, we receive water, we receive plants give us peace. At the age of 45, I never knew. This never thought came to my mind that we have received so much. We only think receiving is material receiving, money receiving. So as we start on this journey, we start acknowledging what we have received. As you have given many time example that your domestic help is not there. So क्या हो जाता है घर में? We never acknowledge it कि हम तो रुपया दे दिए, काम खत्म हो गया. That's the simple way we think. Fair enough, हम रुपया दे रहे, काम करा रहे, but वो काम तो कर रहे हैं ना हमारे लिए, तो he is helping us. So this acknowledgement कि वो नहीं रहता है तो सारा काम खुद से करना पड़ता है. So this acknowledgement in our mind, we don't have to show it to anyone. It is all what Utsaji always says. It is all here in the mind. तो mind में आना start हो जाएगा ना एक बार. Let it start mechanically, and then अब तो अपने लोग को पता चल गया है. पहले अपने को पता नहीं था मैकेनिकल क्या होता है. जैसे मैं तो 40 साल से पूजा मैकेनिकली कर रहा हूँ. अब मुझे समझ में आया मैकेनिकल का मतलब क्या होता है. तो अब हम कोई नया चीज करेंगे तो हम मैकेनिकल में अवेयर हो जाएंगे कि नहीं मैकेनिकल हो रहा है तो हम उसको करेक्ट करने का ट्राई करेंगे, करना चाहिए हम लोग।
या एक और चीज़ है, हम मतलब हमें जैसे हमें सिखाया जाता है, द वे वी आर टॉट, कि ये कर लो, कोई और आकर के आपको मतलब इसका फल देगा, कोई भगवान है जो आपको इसका फल देगा। तो 1 घंटा करते रहो और इसका फल आपको मिल जाएगा, राइट? देयर इज नो गॉड who's going to come and uplift you.
उत्सव जी, मैं अगर एक शब्द बोलूं,
हाँ जी।
इनका देखिए, हमारा रिलीजन बोलता है हम सब सर्कल में घूम रहे हैं,
हम्म,
हम लीनियर नहीं है। हम अदर रिलीजन्स आर और लीनियर। लीनियर मतलब कि कुछ करो तो नरक से बचोगे, स्वर्ग में जाओगे। लेकिन हमारा रिलीजन ऐसे नहीं बोलता। हम लोग सर्कुलर में, जैसे सितारों की गर्दिश में रहते हैं। हम भी दुनिया से कुछ पा रहे हैं और अपने आप दे भी रहे हैं। देना ही हमारा फर्ज है। तो हमारे को इस बात की फिक्र नहीं करनी कि हम क्या कर रहे हैं। बाकी तो रहा बात कर्म की, करत करत अभ्यास के जड़ मत हो तो सुजान। अगर छोटा छोटा भी कुछ करना शुरू करेंगे, मत मत इसको भी बोलते हैं, दिमाग को भी, जड़ मत हो तो सुजान, सुजान हो जाएंगे आप। तो इसलिए घबराने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है कि हम क्या करें। सेल्फिश भी होना चाहिए, क्यों नहीं होना चाहिए सेल्फिश? वी शुड बी सेल्फिश। हम अपने आप को डेवलप कर रहे हैं तो सेल्फिश ही तो हैं। सेल्फिश शब्द बुरा होगा, लेकिन उसका मीनिंग भी है कि भाई हमको अपने ऊपर भी सेल्फ सेल्फ को डेवलप भी तो करना है। तो इसलिए सेल्फिश। और बाकी हम प्रेयर तो करते ही हैं, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिना सर्वे सन्तु निरामया। तो सबकी कामना तो करते ही हैं कि भाई सब अच्छा रहे, सब अच्छे सब। तो इसलिए आपको फिक्र करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है। ज्ञान है आपको, खाली सेवा में मत उलझिए। भरे पड़े हैं लोग सेवा करने में, लेकिन उनके स्वार्थ भी हैं। जो सेवा करते हैं उनके स्वार्थ भी साथ अटैच्ड हैं। आप उनको देखिए तो उससे जाके क्या क्या उनके स्वार्थ हैं। आपको आपको कन्वर्ट करना चाहते हैं, कोई कुछ करना चाहता है, छोड़िए वो बात। सेवा अच्छी चीज है, वो करिए, जरूर करिए। लेकिन छोटा छोटा भी करने से अगर आपका विचार में आ जाए कि सेवा करना है, तो वो ही बहुत है। विचार को परिवर्तित करना, खाली हमारे विचारों में दोष है। सॉरी अगर मैंने कुछ गलत बोला तो माफी चाहता हूँ।
गलत नहीं बोला आपने। मैं सिर्फ आपने जो बोला उसको मैं एक बार दोहरा रहा हूँ कि इन दो शब्दों में बहुत फर्क है। ये दो शब्द मतलब सेल्फिश और सेल्फिश। जब आप अपने ईगो को प्रमोट करते हो, दैट इज स्मॉल एज सेल्फिश। और जब आप अपने ईगो को कम करने के लिए प्रयास करते हो, ज्ञान के द्वारा, कर्म के द्वारा, भक्ति के द्वारा, अपने आप, एंड कई बार इसके लिए समय लेना पड़ता है, दूसरों से दूर रहना पड़ता है, दूसरों की इमीडिएट डिमांड्स को आप नहीं पूरा कर सकते। So that's big as selfish. So as you said, we should all be big as selfish. We should be. We should not be small as selfish. We should. So there's no harm. Absolutely. In fact, it's a good thing to make time for yourself to grow. It's very important. Okay. See, and I'll just repeat this one thing because it's very important. As you may bring up some practical exercises and practices in your journey, and there are many ways to do. There's no one right way. I think Yashuji has shared a beautiful practical exercise. Include others in your prayers, right? It's a beautiful exercise, and of course, bring in some kind of a routine. But the principle doesn't change. That routine, that practice needs to help you develop the principle. What is the principle? Be conscious of what you have received. When you are conscious of what you have received, giving is automatic. So whatever you are practicing, I'm giving you the way to not make it mechanical. अपने आप को समझाओ कि कर्म योग 1 घंटा का सोशल सर्विस नहीं है। Karma Yoga is the attitude of repayment. That is Karma Yoga. Happening through my 1 hour of social service, happening through my prayers, happening through whatever. और वो कैसे होगा जब तक, so long as I am aware of how much I have received. So through your practice, develop that awareness. Then your giving will be automatic. Then your service will be automatic. The principle doesn't change, right? Whatever your practical exercise. And there's no one right practical exercise, one wrong practical exercise. We start thinking, oh, हमें, यहाँ 50 लोगों को खिलाना चाहिए, लेबरर्स को खिलाना चाहिए. So you will go to any, a lot of these healers will give you very specific advice and we take it literally. Acha, I have to feed a fried item to a laborer. Someone was told, I know someone was told this, on a Saturday, feed a fried item to a laborer. We become mechanical about it. मतलब Saturday की Saturday ही करना है. Fried item तो fried item ही देना है. लेबरर तो अगर तुम लेबरर नहीं हो तो नहीं मिलेगा. So mechanical, that's the way in which we make mechanical. And there's a reason. Laborer is someone who is in need, someone who is putting in the effort but perhaps unable to meet their ends. Saturday perhaps because it's relatively a holiday for everywhere else, so it's more difficult to fetch food. It's true, when during COVID, I still remember my friend used to do these food drives, something you and I don't think about, but people on the streets, life really changes for them depending on whether it's a weekend or a weekday. On a weekend, it's much more difficult to get by, to find, say, open stalls to go and eat. You and I don't think about it. We have amenities but those who are dependent on a particular store or a particular area, if it's closed on a Saturday, how do they, is it still going to be easy to feed themselves? So all these things, we're not conscious about, but point is, don't make it mechanical. The idea is whatever service you're doing, it needs to go back to reminding yourself of what you have received, to develop that attitude of gratitude. That's positive religion. Okay, so what is negative religion? So far we've discussed what is positive religion, and we all know this, we're going to repeat it. The abusive religion, the negative religion.
Negative religion. Most spiritual practitioners employ religion for mere worldly gains, use religious means to serve their personal ends, with no thought of eradicating their desires, no attempt at spiritual evolution, no idea of attaining the ultimate state of enlightenment. People in every faith go to religion just to satisfy their material, emotional, and intellectual demands. Their approach is purely utilitarian, selfish, and self-centered. All that is negative in character. One class of people go to pilgrimages, conduct religious ceremonies, perform various rituals for their material well-being. They pray for riches, higher status, better health, and other mundane benefits. Their motives rise no higher than that. A second class of persons seeks religion asylum for emotional solace. They are the ones who are mentally disturbed, who are not able to handle their life's problems and go through sorrow and suffering. Such people approach religious avenues to ease their mental woes and gain peace. They also have utilitarian motives with no higher goal in mind. They are selfish in nature, far from being religious. People in the third category pursue religion to satisfy mere intellectual curiosity, to clear their doubt and confusion about the world. They consume various literature which provides them a satisfaction to their general queries. No sooner they find their intellectual solutions than their pursuit of religion ends. Their subtle intellect remains dormant. It lacks the strength or conviction to dwell deeper into the quintessence of life. They have practically no spiritual urge to realize the Supreme Self within, attain spiritual liberation. Religion is not meant to cater to your physical, mental, and intellectual desires. It is designed to rehabilitate the inner personality, reconstruct the fallen mind and intellect. The modern mind and intellect have deteriorated to an alarming extent, and they lie dilapidated in spiritual ruins. The role of religion is to pull the human race out of the ruinous state it has plunged into. The mind is bereft of all chastity. Human emotions have turned base, vulgar, violent, while the intellect has hit an all-time low. Thinking has lost its originality. Reasoning is no longer free and clear. The need of the day is to chasten human emotion, cultivate the art of thinking, strengthen the intellect, educate people on higher values of life, regenerate their inner personality, guide them inward to recognize the supreme reality. That calls for consistent effort in a planned course of evolution, a role that religion is meant to play. The process of true spiritual education is gradual, slow but sure. Since its results do not show up immediately, hardly any takes to it. People do not want to strive and struggle, pay the price of peace and bliss. Instead, look for instant relief and remedy.
So, most of us are short-sighted in our approach to religion. And most of you will be thinking, oh my God, which category do I fall into? Huh? Because it's true, all of us have come to religion with one of these three intents, speaker included. So, the rare person has an intent beyond these three. But we've said it before, we're going to reiterate it. It's not why you come to religion, it's why you stay. Of course, you come looking for the solution to an immediate problem. See, you remember that example of renunciation where the minister he paid a guy to pretend to be a Swami, and the king came and bowed to the Swami, the guy who was pretending. What happened through the episode? He said, listen, if I'm pretending the king is bowing to me, if I actually become a real Swami, what will happen? So, no doubt, this path brings you a lot of benefits, not only riches, status, you get respect. If you're religious, you get respect. That doesn't mean you should become religious to get respect. See, those you have to understand the logic. The converse is not true, right? Those simple mathematical logic. But just sometimes how you benefit from it gives you an insight of how deep it truly is. That's all we're saying. So you could come here for riches and other mundane benefits and realize it's true depth. So if you stay for a deeper reason, it's good. Similarly, you may come for emotional solace and realize its depth. A lot of you may have joined classes. We know a lot of people over the years who have joined classes, especially after facing some kind of a difficult situation in life where their minds were not in the best of places. People have lost family members, people have suffered health issues, people have had, difficult financial situations or difficult relationships, and they come to seek solace in religion. There's nothing wrong with it per se, but if it remains at that, it is not religious. But once they have come, they found a greater depth. They found something, a better reason to stay, a larger journey. It's great. Similarly, curiosity, knowledge. You might come with a sense of satisfying your curiosity, but actually realize the depth of what there is. I went to the Vedanta Academy simply to satisfy my curiosity. Was it a bad thing? No. Thank God, that's why I'm here. So don't judge anybody of why they come into religion, but definitely what matters is why they stay. If after 20 years you're still interested in being a preacher for respect, that's a problem. Or if you're still interested in being the trustee of a temple, why? Because it brings you certain benefits. It brings you certain, yes, inse baat kar lo, they'll get you into the VIP line of that mandir and this. That's not religious. So it's not about why you come, it's about why you stay. Have you found a deeper purpose? Have you found a larger journey? And what is that larger journey? To rehabilitate your inner personality. That's the power of religion. Religion, sure, is a great balm to soothe your immediate issues, no doubt. It can bring a lot of solace in the short term. But if you keep it at that, even that balm will become ineffective. Like any medicine. If you abuse that medicine, it will become ineffective. But if you find your alignment with the deeper journey of rehabilitating your mind and intellect, of lifting your personality, of lifting your motives, of reducing your desires, of proceeding towards enlightenment. And it's a long journey. It takes an entire life, multiple lifetimes perhaps. That journey is the true journey. So, true religion does not provide instant reliefs or remedies. Very often it doesn't provide a remedy. It seeks you to look within, because ultimately you have to draw out the remedy.
The present religious practices the world over are far removed from spiritual education. For generations, people have become averse to spiritual study and reflection. None realizes that human beings need specific direction in life and living. All other creatures save human have their respective instructions built into their lives by nature, with little choice to live apart from their built-in directives. Human beings alone are left with a choice of action, either to get involved in the terrestrial or turn towards the transcendental. Again, in the terrestrial field, what is to be done and what not? The same dilemma prevails in the spiritual arena as well. Is one to gain true spiritual knowledge through an authentic course of study and reflection, or blindly follow the senseless rituals and ceremonies imposed by religious fanatics? People are totally lost, adhering to some blind faith, sheer superstition and routine ritual. These are purposeless practices maintained by spiritually illiterate masses. Apart from these, two other fads have been spreading the world over in the name of religion: yoga asanas, physical exercises, and meditation. These are the viruses that have killed the spirit of religion. These two faddish practices are simple and easy for teachers to communicate and masses to follow. That makes them even more popular. In sheer ignorance, people take to these practices through hereditary or peer pressure. They lack the intellect to steer themselves away from these pressures and observe a disciplined, methodic procedure for their spiritual evolution.
Swamiji has a very strong opinion on these things, and it's clearly written, it's clearly visible from his repeated writing. That doesn't mean he's asking you not to practice yoga asanas. That doesn't mean he's not asking you to have some practice of meditation, right? I've seen the other opposite also, of people who totally reject this because of reading things like this. No, yoga asanas have their place. Dhyanam has its place. We've always said dhyanam is the ultimate practice. It has to be done in proportion. It's about using your buddhi to understand what is the discipline you need currently. Point is, people practice either yoga asanas or meditation, but don't do the cream, karma bhakti jnana, which is a true religious practice, which is a true spiritual discipline. So then their spiritual practice becomes vacuous. It becomes hollow. There's no depth to it. It's only, and one of the reasons why these two practices in particular have become popular as opposed to the other three we're talking about is because they bring instant first of all, they're easy to communicate, and they bring instant results. Not sustained results necessarily, but instant results. There's this immediate sense of calm when you first start to meditate. There's an immediate sense of lightness when you start to do yoga asanas, right? So that's why they gain a certain momentum. They are able to attract, to a certain trend. But doing yoga and meditation without karma bhakti jnana is not helpful. He calls it senseless stupidity. Some of us may not be as brutal, but Swamiji was very, very clear in his perspective on this. I repeat, that doesn't mean you don't. In the ashram, we did yoga every day, religiously. Interesting, the word religiously. You know how we use it in English, religiously. It means you do it dedicatedly, consistently, repeatedly. Not once, not casually. That's the idea of religion. Consistent, sustained, gradual, not something that seeks instant gratification, because there is none.
Yoga has a worldwide market today. It has been reduced to mere asanas, physical postures, and pranayama, breathing techniques. These are good exercises which tune up the physical body. No more. But people are led to believe that they are mystical, divine, and the ignorant have accepted yogasanas and pranayama as a spiritual course. This spiritual merchandise has earned the promoters wealth, name, and fame, while leaving the followers in confusion and chaos. Yoga exercises are gross. They can no doubt shape the gross body, but not the subtle body. The subtle body consists of the mind and intellect. You could build your physical structure through asanas and pranayama, but in no way develop your inner personality. The gross can never control the subtle. It is the law.
This is a very controversial thing to say in today's day and age, especially if you watch around you. Even now, there are lots of proponents of yoga asana, and particularly pranayam. As if you know, they'll say if you are able to control your breathing in a certain way, and the kundalini will rise and mystical things will happen. I really wish it happens. I really wish. I really hope it happens. But sometimes I think about it. Like, am I the only one who's not understanding? Maybe Swamiji and me are the only ones who are not understanding. Everybody else seems to be getting it. Everybody else seems to be benefiting from this. It's the curse of the intellect. It makes you question. So, coming back, absolutely, these are very, very helpful practices. And they definitely open up your experience in a way. I mean, it makes you lighter. It opens you up for subtler experiences of life. It makes you much more healthier. But it cannot transform your manobuddhi. Says Swami Parthasarathi. Says Adi Shankaracharya. बोधोन्य साधनेभ्यो हि साक्षान् मोक्षैक साधनम पाकस्य वनिवज्ञानम विना मोक्ष न सिद्ध्यते. बिना ज्ञान के मोक्ष नहीं मिलेगा भाई. And ज्ञान doesn't mean 6 cycles of Bhagavad Gita. Gyan is collective for karma bhakti jnana. It's the fire to the cooking. So it's a very strong perspective. It's coming back. What are the qualities of a good student? Pranipatena prashnena. Do everything. Follow every practice. Please, I'm not saying don't follow any practice, but have at the back of your mind prashnena. That spirit of questioning. Even this knowledge and any other practices. Prashnena. Okay, so we'll conclude class out here. We'll talk about the second fad, about meditation, and conclude this section in the next class before proceeding ahead. So thank you for joining. And
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank